The Trump administration lifted its suspension of military aid and intelligence sharing for Ukraine, and Kyiv signaled that it was open to a 30-day ceasefire in the war with Russia, pending Moscow's agreement, American officials said Tuesday following talks in Saudi Arabia. According to Associated Press, the administration imposed the measures a week ago to push Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to enter talks to end the war with invading Russian forces. "We made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation," said Secretary of State Marco Rubio, adding that the U.S. would present the ceasefire offer to the Kremlin. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said, "The Ukrainian delegation today made something very clear, that they share President Trump's vision for peace." Waltz said negotiators got into substantive details on how this war is going to permanently end, including long-term security guarantees. The announcements emerged as senior officials from Ukraine and the United States opened talks in Saudi Arabia focused on ending Moscow's 3-year war against Kyiv. The discussion started only hours after Russia shot down over 300 Ukrainian drones. It was Ukraine's biggest attack since the Kremlin ordered the full-scale invasion of its neighbor.
You ready? Well, as has been clear from his first day as president, even as a candidate, President Trump is a president. He wants to be a president of peace. Today, we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball is now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
The Ukrainian delegation today made something very clear, that they share President Trump's vision for peace. They share his determination to end the fighting, to end the killing, to end the tragic kind of meat grinder of people and national treasure that's happening on the front in Ukraine. Number one. Number two, they made concrete steps and concrete proposals, not only accepting our proposal for a full ceasefire, which you can see the details of which are in our joint statement that we released together, but we also got into substantive details on how this war is going to permanently end, what type of guarantees they're going to have for their long-term security and prosperity, but also really looking at what it's going to take to finally end this the horrific fighting. We have a named delegation in terms of next steps from the Russian side. We have a named delegation in terms of next steps from the Ukrainian side. I will talk to my Russian counterpart in the coming days. Secretary Rubio will be with G7 foreign ministers in the next couple of days. We have the NATO Secretary General in the White House on Thursday, and we'll take the process forward from there. So, as a result of that, and I think as a result of this positive step forward, the President has decided to lift the pause on aid and on our security assistance to Ukraine going forward. And that's effective immediately.
The Trump administration lifted its suspension of military aid and intelligence sharing for Ukraine, and Kyiv signaled that it was open to a 30-day ceasefire in the war with Russia, pending Moscow's agreement, American and Ukrainian officials said Tuesday following talks in Saudi Arabia. The administration imposed the measures a week ago to push Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to enter talks to end the war with invading Russian forces. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the U.S. would present the ceasefire offer to the Kremlin. We're going to tell them this is what's on the table. Ukraine is ready to stop shooting and start talking. And now it'll be up to them to say yes or no, Rubio said. The announcements emerged as senior officials from Ukraine and the United States opened talks in Saudi Arabia focused on ending Moscow's three-year war against Kyiv and hours after Russia shot down over 300 Ukrainian drones. It was Ukraine's biggest attack since the Kremlin ordered the full-scale invasion of its neighbor. President Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, is expected to travel later this week to Moscow, where he could meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, according to a person familiar with the matter but not authorized to comment publicly. The person cautioned that scheduling could change. High-stakes talks between Ukraine and the United States have started in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. According to Associated Press, journalists briefly entered the room to see the two sides as the meeting began at a luxury hotel in the Red Sea port city on Tuesday. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio smiled for the camera, while Ukrainian officials sat without expression at a table across from them. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister was on hand for the talks. American, Saudi and Ukrainian flags stood in the background. Officials answered no shouted questions.
Thank you.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, media.
Mr. Yermak, what do you hope to accomplish today?
Thank you, media.
Advisor Waltz, we expect weapons to be turned back on.
Are you hoping to get a ceasefire?
Secretary Rubio, are you open to a partial ceasefire?
Thank you, media.
Secretary Rubio, Sky News. Do you think you'll get